I have spoken to so many women who have faced seemingly insurmountable challenges in their personal life, in their career, and in their business. But two things stood out. One, they came out on top. And two, they did it while they were afraid. And guess what? They are not an exclusive. They are all around you. My job through the Spotlight series is to bring the stories of these women closer to you.
Hi, Jokotade. We are so happy to have you here on our Spotlight series.
Thank you.
It is my pleasure. It is, a huge honor to have you here, to be honest. And it's a delight to see you. We've seen you on the gram, on social media, but to have your whole presence right here in Atlanta. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much. And just like to jump right into it, right? Have you ever been mocked on your voice? I know this is a weird first question. Has anyone ever mocked your voice?
Yes.
You know why I'm asking this question?
Tell me why.
Because like when I hear your voice and it's like so soothing and I'm like what is she doing? And I know that you sing as well, right? And I just strongly believe that for anything that is shining right now, somewhere down the line in the past, it must have been mocked. Did it mock your voice?
Yeah.
Okay, I just had to ask that weird first question.
Okay, but why do you ask though? Tell me, why do you say that? Why do you ask if my voice has been wrong? I'm curious.
Because I feel like when I was, in school then in college, when I used to sing in the lockers, people would laugh at my voice and things like that. But now I'm in the choir. I never even knew that I would ever be in the choir because everyone always told me that I couldn't sing. So I just felt like for you that you have this natural, beautiful voice. Even when I hear your
Podcast
YouTube, your podcast, or just you speaking on Instagram Live and things like that. And then you have an amazing voice. I just felt like, I wonder if she had ever been mocked about the same thing that's actually a gift to her.
Right. Now, I was mocked, and I'll be honest, I don't even remember the pain.
Right.
I only know that over time, once I discovered that I wanted to sound a particular way, for me, I decided to invest in my voice.
So you invested in your voice?
I invested in
what
my
did
voice.
you do?
I tell you. Okay, I'll share. What did I do? I made a choice that my voice was going to become a gift to people. Growing up in an environment of strong women, and that was probably the case for you and many of your listeners. I grew up in an environment where all the women were, strong women, and I mean, sometimes I remember one time my mom called my sister's name, and my sister was in the neighbor's house, and my sister heard her name, and she came. I mean, so imagine that was my mom, love her to pieces, and I had aunts, and all of them strong women, and man, they used their voice in a way that I only thought that your voice was made for shouting or for yelling, what we call yelling in the US. I didn't know that your voice was actually supposed to be a tool to help you convey your message or your purpose for life. And so one day, I will never forget this experience. I went for a conference and they had a panel of women on the stage. And as I walked in, I was curious, what's going on stage? Are they acting a drama, a skit or something?
Right.
And I get up there and I just say that it's just women having conversation. And I will never forget the way I felt. I said, you know what? I like the way I feel just because, a group of women are just having a nice exchange. Yeah. I love the impact it had on me. And I said, I want to sound like that. Not that I want to sound like them, but I want someone to hear my voice and say, you know what? There's something this voice is doing for me. There's something it's doing for me. So I hope that's the case now. So maybe it was personal mockery. Maybe it was personal mockery. Maybe it was me tired and wanting more than what I had seen growing up and desiring so much more. And I said,
you had to invest in it.
I had to invest in it. And some people are probably wondering, so what was the investment? The investment is discipline. Discipline my use of voice. Am I going to use my voice to bless somebody? Or am I going to use it to harm someone? Or am I going to use it just for my own interest? which is gaining people's attention.
Right.
You know, and so that's part of it. Just disciplining, knowing how to speak, practicing deportment. Practicing deportment. Right? Yes, practicing deportment. I think. Yeah, that's just everything, and here I am today, and people write me about my voice, and I'm saying, really?
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a bad way, but then they're like, the voice, the voice. So I'm like, okay, God, thank you for helping me with this.
What people write, you saying really kind of like shows that we usually assume that it's the big things that catch people's attention, but something as little and subtle as the voice,
Absolutely.
And it's a tool,
yes.
Even like the composure, how you carry yourself,
yes.
The voice,
yes.
and just those little things and how we invest in it. I guess it's just probably our generation that think it's going to be the mega things that will capture and sustain people's attention, but who knows, just the voice.
Absolutely, just the voice, you never know. I can't wait to get into this conversation. I love it already.
Yay! Okay, so like, where you are right now, right? I did some research, tried to read up on you, obviously.
Yes.
But I'm just curious to hear from your own, words. Like, how did you get to you being this, beautiful, intelligent, entrepreneur, artist, mom? So many folders in your cabinet. So how did you get from there to here?
The lack of sounding or using a cliche, it has been a journey. And if it helps anyone, I think it's important for women to know, particularly in this social media age, microwave generation that we're in, you push one, you get one. For me, it's been a journey. It's been a journey of rising above low self-esteem. I really struggled with low self-esteem. I never felt like I was the most brilliant student in the class. I was always in a circle where people around me had more than I did or knew more than I did. And so I went through this time of just always looking down on myself, never really looking up, and never really seeing myself as valuable, right? Now, that was from childhood. So that was primarily from my childhood. Now for me, where it all changed for me was when I came to know the Lord Jesus as Lord and Savior. And what that did for me was it opened up a world of possibility for me. In other words, here I was, this young girl that knew herself as what people and environment defined her as. And then I come into this journey of faith and I get to see what God sees me as. And only just scratching the surface, right? Because hey, there's still so much to come. And so as I flip the pages of scripture, I go in and I believe what scripture says about me, and I take it and I bring it into my life. For example, one of my life scriptures is that I can do, that was the Apostle Paul speaking, when he was talking about he's learned how to live in much or in little. And then he finishes up the bottom of that verse by saying that, and for I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that particular quote leaped out of the pages of scripture for me. And I held on to it. And I started to apply it in every area of my life. Every area of my life. And so I started going into class. I would recognize that I didn't have to be the most intelligent student in the class. I just had to be the best of me and what I could be. And so I would go in and I would put myself in, be diligent, because I learned diligence from Proverbs. You see what I'm saying? I learned diligence. I learned about overcoming, rising above laziness. I learned about sound judgment. I learned all these things, and then I take them and I bring them into my everyday life, and then I try it. And so I stay up at night to do my homework. I stay up at night to do the extra. I'm willing to pay extra attention to what people are not doing. And then I come to class and then I start to see that it's paying off. And so from my childhood, I start applying that. So I try, let's put it this way, maybe writing my wrongs. Yes, writing my wrongs by the grace of God, writing my wrongs, taking scripture, applying it. And so for every area of my life, I looked into my finances. I saw that I was one of those students that, by like the fourth week in school, money was finished. And then I saw that I was lacking in certain things. And then I would take what I would learn from scripture and apply it. and not be like the foolish one that spends all that he has.
Right.
Scripture talks about that.
Yes,
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So journey by journey, year by year, every year I would commit, how do I want to be a better person this year? What do I want to do differently? Who do I want to become this year? And I started applying that to many different areas, and I will tell you that that's how I got to where I am today.
Okay.
That every year I look inwards, I look at my weaknesses, I take it to a God who my manufacturer, and he shows me how to become a better person. He shows me this is what you can try. It's not that it's always easy, right? But it's helped me. So my faith has become a very pivotal point for me for every decision. Now, in practicality, in terms of my career, when I moved to the United States in 1997, I came with zero. My parents were starting all over again. We had lost everything in Nigeria, so we moved here, we immigrated here and started all over again. My first job here, I know you know my story, but my first job here was hair braiding.
Yes.
Hair braiding. And I braided hair so much that I changed the layers of my skin. Right now, I don't like touching hair. I did hair so much that I don't want to touch hair. My daughter has a lot of hair, but I don't braid it. I brush it, I comb it out, and I style it, but I don't braid it. So I was a hair braider, did hair braiding, and then along with hair braiding, headed business. I sold different things. I would go to Chinatown in Houston, and then take what I buy from Chinatown to Dallas to go sell it to the students in Dallas. And I would just, I would try to solve problems along the way. And that evolved into me finishing college. I got a great internship program. I was excited. I felt like I was set for life, and until I was called into the office, the story, and I was laid off, and there went my corporate America dream. That was the time Enron went down. Never could get a job again for that time, because I studied information technology, and Enron pulled information technology down with it. And so afterwards, I researched what could I do. I started a concierge business, added it to my petty business, and continued doing that. That concierge business evolved into a wedding and event business. So technically this way, I went with the flow of my life. That's how I got to where I am today. I went where I felt my heart was pulling, where I felt I could solve problems, where I felt there's something inside of me that is crying out for expression, and I would take the leap and do it. Really, and just do it, and just say, you know what, I don't get it, I can't say exactly all that it is, I don't have all the answers, but I'm gonna try this. So trying helped me get to where I am today. Trying. I got an idea on the inside, it didn't go away, that idea did not go away, and then I said, okay, let me just try. I'll research it, and then I would try it. I would research it, and then I would try it. I would research it, and I would try it. And so, let's see, I think I kind of connected the point to the wedding and event business. And I still have that. I still have that business. And along the way, I started paying attention to social media. And I noticed that there were a lot of American and international bloggers that wrote about their own style and their own fashion. But I never could find someone like a blogger who spoke about the kind of place that I'm from, which is Nigeria, but lived abroad, wanted to look beautiful, elegant, and tasteful. I didn't find a blogger that was, writing and they're very popular now, but then it wasn't. And so I raised my hands and said, I can do this. And I didn't want to be another American blogger. I wanted to be true to where I was. Hey, my name is Jokotade. I need to be true to where I was. And I said, if I get up and go do what other people are doing, then what will distinguish me? I'm sure that there are women like me who are from, maybe they're from where I am from, or maybe they appreciate where I'm from and would love someone to just model it. And so I reached out to my photographer, started blogging. it just took off. I shared maybe a post or something on Facebook. People started writing me. A conference host reached out to me, said they loved what I was doing. That's how I started speaking in conferences. I mean, of course, I speak at church, I speak at small groups, but then that's how they reached out to me and said, we love what you're doing. Would you mind coming out to our conference? I step out there. And then as I'm blogging, people started asking me about other things because they discovered that I'm an entrepreneur. So they would ask me about business. They would ask me about being a mom. They would ask me about, being all these other secret things we want to be, but life tells us we can't be all these many things.
Right.
And so they saw that in me and they were like, you know what, can you tell us how you're doing it? So I started a podcast and I started recording it, and then I realized, okay, I think I need to organize it for my audience. Then that moved from being a podcast into an app. I sat down every night, committed about an hour a day, and started developing an app. I did the research, how could I pull this app together, put it together, and sat down, committed to it. And then I launched the app, I put the podcast on there. Then I did a couple of other different podcasts, the business podcast, the relationship podcast, the Before I Do podcast. We got it all organized and just allowed, just allowed my gifts to find expression. Yeah, does it make sense?
Yes, it does. It makes a lot of sense. Like you sowed seeds, right? And I'm so happy that you're saying all this and breaking it down, because oftentimes when we hear the stories of women, we always think it's magic.
No, it's
not.
not.
That there's a lot of work at the background.
Yes.
And the question I wanted to ask you was, for you to be able to say you flow, like you're flowing with your life journey, you're flowing with God. A lot of people read the Bible and trying to make the words come alive, but they're struggling with that.
Yes.
So they're called to this, they're called to that, they're called to that, and they're all over the place.
Yes.
So how have you been able to refine it? I know it's not as seamless as it might sound.
Yes.
I think you have gone through some battles and things like that. But how have you been able to refine it to where you are right now? Because since every step you took has led you to where you are.
Yes. So let me tell you one thing, and I'm speaking at a conference tomorrow, and this is part of what I'm going to be sharing with them.
Okay.
One big thing women need to value is the voice they have on the inside. And let me explain what that means. That voice sounds like this. It's a gentle voice, and it's a conversation. It's a dialogue between you and your maker. So you're living your life. You get up today and you're thinking as a woman, I want to be this, right?
Right.
And you have a choice. You have a choice to either get up in the morning and do mommy duties, wife duties, co-worker duties, employee duties, and never listen to that person, that voice inside of you. So for me, I struggled a lot with it, and I didn't have role models to play it out for me. So I had to protect that voice. And the way I did it was through prayer. And so I would go to God and tell God, I feel like doing this. I'm not joking. I'm not even sugarcoating anything. God, I would, for example, when I felt I wanted to do something with my voice, I told God, because when I tell people that, they're like, what are you talking about? It's mystery to them. They're thinking, who are you? Who do you think you are? This is the way we speak. What do you mean you want to speak with poise? What do you mean you want to be an elegant woman? What do you mean? Leave all those things. Those things are not important. And so they would shut me down. They would shut that voice. And so I started learning I couldn't trust people, right? And I would take it to God in prayer. And I would bring God into my center and say, God, this is what I feel like doing. Would you please help me? For example, there was a time I felt I wasn't a very beautiful woman. Real talk. And I would try to, you know when you use style, we call it use style. I would try to use style to ask friends questions, but they wouldn't tell me, maybe they didn't want to hurt my feelings.
A question about how you looked?
How I looked or something. And I had a sense they weren't telling me, they weren't being honest with me. So I got tired of reaching out for help. I went to God and I said, God, I want to be beautiful. When people are describing me, I want them to say she's beautiful. Now, keep in mind, I wear glasses, so I wear goggles. Okay, I wear goggles, so that's another layer.
Right.
And so I went to God and I said, God, I don't even know how that's going to happen. But I want, when people are describing Jokotade, I want them to say she's such a beautiful woman. And I was clear. I didn't say, God, I want them to say I'm pretty. That's not the word I'm looking for. I want the word beautiful. So I started praying it every day. And then I would learn that beauty really comes from the inside. the way, what people experience when they are with us, right? So I started practicing being more patient with people. I started practicing putting others first. I started practicing being gracious to people, just letting people shine too, giving people compliments and things like that. And the apostle wrote, giving preference to one another, making people feel like they're the center. I would celebrate others. And then the practical aspect was, I remember the story of Esther in scripture, how they spent 12 months, first 6 months with oils of myrrh or something, another 6 months of treatment. And so I started paying attention and I started taking better care of my skin. You see what I mean? I said, you know what, rather than go to bed with makeup, I'm going to wash my face at night. Real talk, right? And I started doing that. I started taking care of my skin. I would brush my hair. I would take better care of myself. And all of a sudden my skin started clearing up. I started taking, walking, cut back on sodas or gave up sodas, drank more water. And then I noticed, one day I went somewhere and a friend who had not seen me in a long time said to me, Jokotade, you look so beautiful.
Prayer answered.
I was like,
say it again.
I greeted her and I still celebrated her. But as I drove over, I was like, God, you sure do answer prayers. Now, there was a faith aspect and then there was the works. Yes, there was the works aspect, and that was, faith was me trusting God to take me through my journey. And then the works part was me participating in that journey.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So many people believe God for the results, but they don't participate in the process. And so for me, yes, that's what it's been. If I could teach women anything, it's guard your inner voice. Guard that intimate part of you that is so sacred to you, that is so important to you, where your dreams, like those special dreams that sometimes you're not even sure your husband will get it. Yeah? And then you guard it, you don't expose it to the world, and then you take it to someone who's bigger and he can make it a reality, and you trust him to help you make it a reality. And that's my story. I am a result, I am a product of intimacy with God. That's the honest truth. And so when people tell me something is not possible, I cannot believe them. I mean, I could cry, it could break me that it's coming from people that I love, but I take it back and I'm like, oh God, this is what you say. This is, and I imagine that there's a woman who is not necessarily a woman of faith that's listening to me. That's the power of faith. Faith is something that isn't tangible. Like we can't touch it. It's an experience. And so what I want to tell that woman that isn't a woman of faith is, why don't you take that step of faith today and say, what's the worst that could happen? I'm going to give it a shot. I too am going to pick up my life, take my journey, and find out what works for me. This is what has worked for me. And so now, coming into this year, for the past couple of years, I noticed there's been a strain on the wedding and event industry. China is really giving us a run for our money. Yeah. Things are being done for pennies right now. And so the wedding industry in America is really going through a strain with technology and all of that. Yeah. So I started asking God, what's next for me? And I started praying. And then towards the end of last year, I had a dream. Actually, before that, I heard a gentle voice. You see, that guarding that place, I heard a gentle voice. Do some research on illustrations, on fashion illustration, on illustration. And then I did some research and I was like, wow, this thing is really big business. And then I saw this class. I was like, oh, I'm going to buy this class for my son. My son he has art tendencies. I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy this class for my son. And then I kept researching, and then I was like, I now remember that when I was a child, I used to draw and win art competitions. Life had happened to me and I had forgotten about that talent. And so I was so burdened that night, I couldn't sleep. So I prayed. I felt regret. I felt like if someone was there to hold my hand and they guided me, especially in our culture where art is condemned. Yeah. They don't consider art as your serious. Exactly. You do the sciences. Yes. You go be a doctor first, or lawyer, or engineer, or accountant, yes. Right? Okay. So I felt so much regret. I felt bitter that there was nobody around to push me, because now I could see online what children that their parents had sent them to art school what they had become. And I didn't have that. So I prayed, I went to sleep, and as I was about to wake up, I felt myself about to wake up in my sleep. I saw 5 art boards. So in that dream, I finished 5. I was now on the 6th, and then I woke up. And I just said, okay, God, is that you? And I said, God, is that you telling me that art is next for me? And so I started feeling afraid. I got scared. I said, it can't be. I said, my age, art is not for my age. It's for children. Real talk, you know. I'm like, this is not the time to be dabbling into new things. And this new thing in particular. Right. And I wanted to pray again, and I wanted to say, God, can you show me a confirmation? And I literally felt like God said to me, you know I'm not going to give you another confirmation. This is it. You either take it and you run with it. So that day, I went to the stationery store and I bought a pen. And by the end of that night, I did a sketch. I just said, you know what, let me just sketch something. And when I finished sketching, I looked at my hands and I said, God, really? It's here? Wow. Really? This was November. This was November 2017. And I got a couple of tools, maybe 2 or 3 items that I started drawing. And this August, beginning of August, I launched my first art collection. Wow. And if I tell you that I went to do a delivery to someone, and they said to me, Jokotade, was it not just November you were saying you're going to start drawing? I said, I looked at the art we delivered, and I looked and I was afraid of what, I was afraid that what are other things that I have not tapped into? What if I didn't just take the pen to draw? I wouldn't be making this delivery today. Back to the Jokotade, when I started Jokotade blog, if I didn't write the first blog post, you won't be having this interview. There won't be a Jokotade. I mean, there will be a Jokotade, but there won't be a Jokotade at this level of impact. Right. If I didn't write that first blog post, if I didn't record that first podcast, if I didn't step out to go to other conferences outside of where I'm from and heard other women, the way they interact, and said, you know what, there's actually more for me to become than what I have known. If I didn't take that first step, if I didn't go to the stationery store, if I didn't have faith, if I didn't just do it and not care, if I didn't guard that voice, if I listened to what I was told as a child, you know, that the things you don't do, art is for people that are not serious or that they don't want to, they're not intelligent. If I just park there, then you and I will not be having this conversation today. And my heart bleeds because I'm thinking of the woman watching me, and she's 40, she's almost 40, and she's thinking, where do I start from? Where do I start from? Or do I even still have that gift? Do you know what I've found? Every gift that you have, every gift you have right now, when God was packaging you up to send you into the world, He put them all on the inside, and they will remain with you until you die. And it's your choice to either do something to go and discover and harness those gifts and use them, or you can die with them. But the truth is, the way you came is the way you're going to go. Meaning, if you came with 5 gifts, you're going to go with 5 gifts. In other words, the seed gifts will always be there. Now, for some people, it may double to 10. Right. And I remember that on my journey, I started with nothing. I noticed that I had a gift of organization, and I used that to work for me. That's how I was able to run a concierge business. And so as I kept using each of these gifts, organizing, it evolved into planning. And then I realized that as I was planning, I realized that I had a thing for storytelling, right? And then I realized that, I write well. I realized that I use words well. Then I realized that from serving in church, I realized that I had a teaching gift. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. From writing a blog post, I realized that, I have a writing gift. From just doing one thing, then from designing for the wedding and event industry, I had a desire to do more, and then I went back to prayer, and then God is like this. Let me uncover. There's something I put, let's say, on your right hand. You've used your left hand, but here's your right hand. And then and He's like, okay, let me see what you're going to do with it. And then I pick up the pen and I just do a sketch, and I'm thinking, oh God. I did a quick sketch before I left home, before I left for this interview, real quick. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, really? Awesome wonder indeed. And so for that woman watching today, I am a product of faith. And faith sometimes is just doing a simple thing.
Right. Faith is doing a simple thing.
Simple thing.
Not complicated.
Not complicated. Not 25 steps.
Right.
Faith is me showing up to this interview. That one day, people are going to watch me on Oprah, and they're going to say, "Oh my God, did you know?" But they won't remember when I was doing these interviews.
Right.
I've had the experience of doing interviews, right?
Right.
They won't remember. They will just be like, "Oh
She just
my
came
God,
from nowhere, right?
she's so blessed." Oh, some people are just special. Lucky. Some people are just lucky. But don't forget the journey. I had to participate in my journey.
How you said faith is just by doing the little thing.
Yes.
I'm talking about guarding your inner voice.
Yes.
From what? Because so many abnormal things have become normal in this day and age, right?
Right.
So what do we guard our hearts from? Our inner voice from?
Okay. For me, it was noise.
From other people or from yourself?
First, it was noise from people.
Okay.
And for me, I had gone through my own season of allowing myself to hear myself. And I think that's probably the first step for some women.
Yeah.
Which is listen to yourself. Just because if you cannot listen to yourself, then how are people even going to believe you? How are they going to listen to you? So you've got to practice listening to yourself. And what that looks like for me is I treasure and I nourish what I say to myself. So I believe that I may not be number one, but I'm gifted. I believe that about myself. And again, remember I told you I struggled with low self-esteem.
Yes.
So that was not always the case for me. Mine got corrected with scripture.
Okay.
So I started believing what scripture says about me, and I started guarding that. So when someone says you can't do something, I'll say okay to them. Then I turn right behind them and I go do it.
Okay.
I don't argue with them. I don't have conversations with people who tell me things are not possible. I don't entertain them. So I don't confront them. I don't say, "Oh, how can you say such a thing to me?" They can never understand.
Right.
So imagine if I told some people, "I'm going to start drawing." They'll just start laughing. Jokotade, oh my God, you're just full of it. I mean, every year you come up with something you want to do. And so imagine you're laughing already. Then I would go back cowardly and not. Did you see what I mean?
And then you probably go back and start thinking, maybe, okay, are you trying to do too much, or who do I think that I am? Maybe I should focus on what is in front of me. So at what point in time do you think it's time for you to evolve? Because sometimes we hold on to something that we've done, like we invested so much in something and we put in the time and sweat and it's growing, and then you're saying we should evolve into something else. There is that fear of uncertainty already there. So when do you know that God is telling you, or when it's time for you to move?
Try it. Just try it. I mean, people want you to tell them formulas. I cannot tell you that it's every time I want to do something, oh, this is what I just do. I just go into fasting and prayer for 30 days. By the end of 30 days, I know that's what I'm supposed to do. No, ma'am. It doesn't work that way. God is a relationship God. You walk with Him, and He tells you turn left, and then He will tell you when to turn right. And for me, even with this art thing, I said, God, I don't know what I'm doing. I told Him, I said, God, I really don't know what I'm doing. I know I'm just following instructions. You showed me, I'm just going to do it. I really don't know what I'm doing. And one of my dear mentees said to me, she said, Auntie, think about it this way. It was one day I was telling her, I don't know what I'm doing. And she said to me, Auntie, imagine what the men and the people who walked around the walls of Jericho were thinking. They probably were like, what are we doing? I mean, okay, God said we should walk around.
Right.
Really? Like, so how's that going to help these walls come down? But they did it anyway, right? They did it anyway. It didn't make any sense. And so I can't tell you that, oh, how do I know? I just did it. I tried it. I felt like it was what was next. And I did it. For example, when I wanted to start writing a blog post, I felt inspired to do something about it. And I did it, right? And then after a while, I noticed that people wanted more. And I felt inspired to start a podcast, and I did it. And then I noticed that people wanted more, and I just go with where I feel I've been,
led to.
Because
my next question is, how do you identify the inspiration? Because we can get inspired by what we're seeing, what we're watching, and what the in-thing is versus what we are led to. So I guess it still boils down to really protecting your inner voice, having that personal relationship with God, to identify, are you doing something because other people are doing it, or are you doing something because you've been led to do it?
Right. So what's the question? I want to make sure.
How do you identify that, okay, what you're doing is what you have been led to, not what you have been unconsciously cajoled to do?
Okay. For me, I have committed to keeping noise out. Let me explain what I mean, please. So, for example, I'm very careful to not follow the crowd. That's me. I've learned to practice not following the crowd. If everyone is going this way, I pause and I say, why are they going that way?
Okay.
And I check, I take some time to look, why are they going that way? And why should I go that way? Am I supposed to go that way? For example, there's some people, they've been called to be coaches and all of that. I never liked the term coach for me. I just never liked the term coach for me. You can call me a mentor, but I felt very uncomfortable introducing myself as a coach. Now, for some people, it works for them, but for me, I never got the release. And if I put a coach name on my title, then it's because everybody else was doing. And so you have to check your motives. What I'm doing now, is it because? And one of the things every woman needs to learn how to do is tell herself the truth. So for me, I don't wait, I'll be honest, I'm not going to wait for you to tell me something is wrong with me. I tell myself that. I learn to discipline myself. And so I think that's a skill that every woman needs to practice. I mean, it takes practice. Yeah. For example, when we're in a group, I have to start learning to not be the one that has the most to say.
Or some people have the least to say.
Or being the least to say. Or when I step into somewhere, may I sit down? You know, you kind of, I don't know.
You have to be ready to do the work for yourself, I believe.
Absolutely.
As a woman, you have to be ready to grow beyond that level, that comfort zone.
Absolutely. And be willing to be taught. Be willing to learn. Be willing to go where you haven't been before. So I think for me, how do I not follow the crowd? I stay clear. When I see people start doing so many things, I just sit back and I say, why do I have to do it? Or I ask myself, is there another way to accomplish the same thing without doing it the way it's been done?
Right.
So I'm going to tell you a secret.
Okay. Secret time.
One of the reasons I've chosen, I could go around speaking full time. I could go around teaching full time. I could do that. But one of the reasons I've decided to hold on to my craft, either design, art, or any of my entrepreneurial work, is because I want my story to be authentic. I never want anyone to think that I'm counting on their money to do what I need to do. And so I want to be one of the few, this is something I tell God, I say, God, bless my work so that you can send me anywhere in the world and I can go, whether they buy my ticket or not.
Wow.
I want to be free. The bottom line is, God, I want to be free to do your work. And for me to be free to do your work, that means I have to earn the money.
Right.
And I'm reminded of people like Apostle Paul who kept making tents. He was a craftsman.
Yeah.
And he kept making tents. And I said, I want to be that way. I want to be free to preach the gospel. I want to be free to preach. I want to be free to preach the gospel, and I want to preach the gospel for free. I never want anything to get it. I never want you to doubt my intentions.
For the money, or
for the money, and you for the exactly. I never, and even if it's not in the context of the gospel, even if it's just to help you, I want to be able to help you, even if you don't have the money. I want that option. And please hear me. It's not. I'm not saying the coaches who are charging. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm just saying this is from me.
Right.
And I have found that this works for me. And so when I go out to speak, I have real, authentic stories. When I want to talk to somebody about business, they will listen to me.
Because you have a business.
Because I have a business. I know the struggles of not having money to meet payroll. You see what I mean?
Yes.
And I want to be able to show somebody else how you can start with nothing. Everything I've ever done started with zero. Everything. There's nothing. I wasn't born with a platinum spoon in my mouth. Everything. And so I want to be able to give that group of people who don't have any advantage that, look, there is somebody just like you who started with nothing, and just by their own inner convictions, they follow it, they stay true to it, and they're able to make something out of it. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense. So I'm sorry that I don't have a formula.
It's fine. But that's the real thing, you know, there's really never a formula. Everyone's story is unique.
It's unique.
We're always for a formula to get things done. But the formula really is hard work, you know, like I say, diligence,
right.
Listening, your inner voice.
Listening,
and
trying,
yeah.
and trying, and trying. And so somebody may be asking, so what if I don't have a relationship with God? The truth is, these are still the laws of God, whether you're a person of faith or not. There's certain things that God has established in the earth, they'll work anyway. You're diligent, you will reap the rewards.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Yes.
Faith just gives you that extra insight, an extra impact, an eternal value, I would say. And I care about that. I care about eternal value. I want to have impact beyond just what I see now. And that's what faith does.
It's about, wow. Were you scared of this new phase, this art phase?
Somebody please, did I not just say that I was telling someone in my team, I don't know what I'm doing?
Yes, what I'm trying to say is, you already had like a brand going, right? You have like different projects, the app, I believe you have like the 7-figure school, the website, you know, like I said, you know, the beginning of our interview, post that recording was, I went to the website and a lot of things were like stripped down. It takes like someone who is really free to let go, so that they can be an influence that nobody's seeing. So how did you get there? Because it's like, are you telling me to let go of what I've worked hard for? Are you telling me to let go of how people see me? Like, how can I let go of that? I'm going to lose my identity if I'm letting go. But you did care about that, did you?
Yes. So let me tell you. I'm going to use a story to illustrate this. One of my mentors, she's very well known. I'm not going to mention her name. One day, she'd almost missed my birthday. And so she called me and all of that. And I was saying, oh, Mom, you know, it's my birthday. Blah. And she was like, oh my God. She's like, oh, I didn't get to share it on social media and all of that. I said to her, I said, Mom, I said, I appreciate it, I love it, thank you, but you're sharing my birthday on social media is not going to do anything for me. I said, just having an audience with you, having somebody of your caliber in my life, it makes me feel so valued. And I don't care that you now go share it, that it's my birthday. And so I told her something. I said, in terms of just personality, I'm a sanguine by nature. And she said to me, she said, you're changing, you're becoming melancholic. She says, and I said to her, I said, Mom, I said, that's not what affirms me. That extra publicity, that's not what affirms me. I told her, I said, Mom, I get my affirmation from somewhere else. And for me, my affirmation, God affirms me. I feel very tenderly loved by God. I do. And so there's nothing that I want that I can't tell him and that he doesn't do for me. In other words, if it's in line with his will. And so the
extra post,
you know, the
extra like, the extra follow,
it doesn't do anything for me. And it comes with relationship, right? It's kind of like everyone's out there. When we were all, you know that young boy that all the girls liked in school. But then there's this girl that even the guys know that that's the one, and all these ones are just noise makers. I feel that way in my life. I feel like all those extra things are just extras, and if I can't get it right where nobody sees, then those things will not do much for me. And so for me, how was I able to not worry about that? I don't believe what I do is me. I don't believe my identity is tied to what I do. Does that make sense? I don't believe that the impact that God has allowed me to have is what defines me. That's not what defines me. You're benefiting from my impact today because I have a source. There's somewhere that my inspiration is coming from. So I just want to guard my source of inspiration so that I can continue to do. And then for me, I have a picture in my mind of the kind of woman and the kind of impact I want to have. And so I'm willing to not worry or care about what you have to say while I work on getting there. Because I believe that when I get there, it will make sense to you. It might not make sense to people now, but it will make sense. And so don't let what you are trying to do define you. Don't let what you're trying to do, so you're trying to have impact. And then because people don't like your pictures, you feel like you don't have impact. No. If one person likes your photo, be grateful. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. People are constantly looking for big things to do. And so I have learned, maybe this is the answer, I've learned to value little things. I value little things. Like this time we're having together, precious to me, valuable to me. When I speak at a conference and people come, they wait in lines to speak with me, that's valuable to me. Connecting with people, loving on people, that's valuable to me. That's amazing. Just being there for people, precious.
Wow. How do you invest in yourself as a woman?
Okay, so I actually schedule time for myself.
You schedule time for yourself?
I schedule time for myself.
That's something a lot of people don't do.
I'm a mom, and I think it's important for women to know. I'm a mom. I have a 10-year-old, and I have 4 going on 40. my son's going on 20. You have to have that one. That is just, she's a girl, she's mommy.
Oh my God, he's right there. Mommy, daddy.
My husband was recapping to me all the drama he went through to get her to school this morning.
I can imagine.
So sometimes I don't have to go to every birthday party. I don't go to every birthday party. I don't commit to everything. I don't do everything. I send gifts sometimes. So, because I believe that when I'm able to spend more time with me, one, I'm able to guard that inner space. So I'm able to hear what I'm supposed to do. And then I find that I'm happier when I know what I'm doing. I'm happier, I really am. I'm happier when I know what I'm doing. I'm confident when I know that whether you like me or you don't like me, I'm still me. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I schedule time for myself. And I don't take, when I want to go shopping for me, I don't take my children. That's me. I schedule time to think like a woman. I schedule time to think like a girl. And then I invest in things that I care about. For example, I'm a hopeful romantic. I love romance. I love love. I'm one of those people love love. Love. And so I listen to beautiful love stories. Sometimes I'll tell my son to record all those beautiful love stories on Hallmark. And then I would get back, put my feet up, set myself a tray, have my cranberry in my glass cup, and watch a love story. And then I would go to bed so happy, whether it is the reality of my marriage or not. You know what I mean? And then by Sunday morning, or the next day, my husband has a happier wife.
Right, exactly.
You see what I mean? And
you don't watch CSI the night before. You don't watch crime.
No. And he's like, and I cannot watch all those action movies that you be in the kitchen dodging. So what's happening next? No, that is not me.
Right.
Do you see what I mean? And so I invest in me. There are times I just go and I do research. I want to change my perfume today. I want to smell like a woman, and I'll go to a really nice store and I'll just go check out perfumes and just me. And so I think for a woman, you need to remember who you want. Who did you dream of becoming? Again, like I said, I care a lot about deportment. I care a lot about etiquette. So I read books. The book in my luggage to get here is something, Secrets of a Lady or something like that. I care about things like that. And I invest in things like that. And I'm not going to let society tell me otherwise, And yes, I still do homemaking. I make my home. I care for my children. I'm a very hands-on mom. But when it's time for me, I guard that time. And sometimes I let my husband take the children, and they're like, "Are you coming?" No. Emphatic no, I'm not coming. And I'll stay home and just be me and just rest and sleep. So I think that's a big deal for me.
That's a big big idea to you, like something that we should all emulate. Yes, making time for ourselves. And something you said about sometimes we've forgotten about who we dreamt that we were going to be. Society, or maybe kids, or maybe the rat race,
or husband. Sometimes
yeah.
too, we get so lost in helping the man that we forget. And so we're so committed to helping him build his dreams, build his career, build his children, everything. And then we forget. And then at the end of life, you're wondering what happened. So I tell people all the time. Some people say, yeah, but some people say, but that she's too much. And I'm thinking to myself, look, if I want to wear a pencil skirt and look like a Chanel model every Sunday to church or to wherever I'm going, that is my preference. If you want to wear jeans every day, wear it. That is your preference. But I refuse to be 80 trying to wear what I should have worn when I was 40. I'm not going to do it. And let me just drop something here, just in case you're not coming to the conference tomorrow.
Okay.
So I made up my mind. I'm not going to be one of those mothers that will. My son will not call me to come and sit down for 3 months to do what? I will be. If when he calls me, Mom, where are you? Oh, darling, I'm in Italy.
Right.
Oh, you've had the baby. Oh my God, Kuchi, send me your phone. Let me FaceTime him. So when I come back with Aunt Julie from Italy, I'll make a quick stop at your house and I'll see you all. Okay, send my love to them. I'll send you all flowers. Bye. I am not going to sit down for 3 months trying to do what? I don't want to be that woman. I mean, I want the option of being there, but not because that there's nothing for me to do. There's nothing for, not because I don't love my children. So I'm grooming them now.
Right.
I'm grooming them now. I don't want to be that woman. I want to still be living my life. I want to still be finding ways to impact on people. I want to still be discovering at 50, 60, 70, 80, maybe there's, let me just check in, is there still another gift in there that I haven't done, So I'm weird in a good way.
Yeah.
I'm very different. And I want to raise more women to be different like me. Not because I have the answers, but because I want them to find them. I want them to pick up themselves and believe that they too can be unique in their own way. And they can be more than they could imagine.
Wow. This is very, very interesting, to be honest. Especially like how unconsciously we are being restrained by society.
Yep.
Like, the more you talk, the more you realize the boundaries we set for ourselves, we've set them.
Yep.
How things should go, what I should do. Especially like even sometimes when you go for marital counseling and they say there is a marriage, it's a marital destiny. Two people to come together as one, there's that one purpose, but they forget to analyze the fact that two people are like also individuals and they also have their own purposes.
That's
so
right.
The woman can unconsciously think her purpose is to push the man's purpose up and forget that she has something she's supposed to fulfill.
Right.
So society has its
right.
has a weird way of caging us.
Right. And you have to make up your mind that you're going to guard how you accomplish God's plan for your life. You have to make up your mind. You have to say, for example, I don't come to every church activity. Because if I do that, I will never reach the people outside of church that God wants me to reach. And so I already told I'm a teaching member in my church. And so I've already told them in November I've got conferences so they can arrange the schedule accordingly. I don't want you thinking I'm going to be here every Sunday. And so I find that when you're honest and you're upfront, people find a way to make it work.
Right.
So if you never speak up, you never get to even see what's possible. And so for me, I really believe that there's a lot of work that God has given me to do outside of church as well.
Okay.
I'm very valuable to my church by the grace of God, but I'm also very valuable to God's work outside of church. And so be committed to your church. If you're an active church member, great, but don't overcommit. Remember that there's still something for you to do out there, right? So I think about the apostles. If the early church never moved beyond where they were, we won't be here today. If missionaries never stepped out of their convenient spaces to come to other countries, we won't be here today. So I don't know what your mission work is. What is your mission work? You've got to know that. You may not even know every detail, but you've got to to allocate time
to
build it. So I'm here in Atlanta because I know that there are people here that God wants me to reach. So if I never schedule the time and let my teaching team at home know, hey guys, I'm not going to be around this Sunday, don't put me on the schedule, then I'll never just get away to go be a blessing to other people. Do you understand what I mean? So I want to say that please, I want to encourage everyone. I didn't get here, I didn't get to this, I guess I sound very definitive, right? I didn't get here in one day. It took fighting with people and saying, sir, I respect you, but I don't believe this is what God's will is for my life. And letting it just play out. It took me not getting sentimental. You cannot be sentimental about your purpose. You cannot let people rope you into their purpose. You can't. You've got to really guard it. I know people that I love very much that if I followed them, I would have been a major wreck. So for example, I serve in a small church. And some people have said to me, what is someone like you doing in this kind of place? Don't ask me why they would ask that. But so they're looking at the impact God has given me, right? And they think that people that have big impact don't go to small churches. What they don't realize is that where I'm at is my training ground.
Right.
And so if there's any tip I'll leave for somebody else today, don't give up your training ground. For sentiment, for effigy.
Or for the occasional hype from outside.
Don't. You look at David. David from scripture was a shepherd. He didn't know God was teaching him leadership in the bush.
Right.
So if he had given up his training ground, he would have had the right skills or enough skills to lead Israel in those days. Do you see what I mean? So don't give up your training ground. Don't let hype. Don't let social media. Everybody wants to go to the big, the baddest, forgetting that it was somebody like you that paid the price for the big. I want to be a part of the groundwork. The root always has the closest access to the soil, to the nutrients in the soil. It gets the most dirt and all of that, snakes, slime, ants, all of that. But it gets the most nutrients. I want to be a root. I want to be a root because from me comes the leaves. Leaves will blow away. I don't want to blow away. I want to be firm, grounded, and I've learned in life now, and I think it also comes with age. It comes with age that you commit and you say, you know what, I'm not going to be tossed back and forth. I want to be real. I want to be the real deal. I think that's been my desire. I want to be the real deal. I go somewhere. I don't want to be the ones that they just group us together. I want to go in there and they're like, she's different. There's something about her. She's different.
Wow. And if you did not identify this, you wouldn't know exactly what you're working towards. Like you already know you want to go to a place and you want to stand out.
Absolutely.
You don't want to be part of the crowd.
I don't want to be a part of hype.
And you're not just saying, you're also doing the works as well. You're investing in yourself, and building yourself up as well. Have you ever, I know you talk about fear of low self-esteem, and you overcame that by the word. What other fears have you had to struggle with?
Of what people will say.
What people would say, right?
Yeah. Fear of what people will say. I mean, for example, you talked about me stripping down and not carrying all the things I've done and all of that. I fear that. I fear that people would say, oh, she's come again. Oh, there's something new she's doing again. I fear that. Oh, she's inconsistent. I fear that. I feared, oh, she's just too much. I fear people thinking I'm trying to appear perfect. I fear that. And let me tell you how I've overcome that, or how I rise above it. It's not that it's perfect, but it's better.
Yes.
I stay true. I stay true. I check my motives and I stay true. And I ask, why am I doing this? Is it so that it can be better? If it's so that it can be better, then I commit to it. People may not get it now, but they'll get it later. Yes, I had someone, and I think this, before I say what I was going to say, the second thing too is you've got to have peace that it's okay to be different. I'm not, one of the things now I say confidently, graciously, I am not a one-talent person. I'm sorry, I mean, neither am I a 5-talent person. I'm really a 10 talent. And even if I was 1, it grew to 5, and then from 5 it became 10. So, and God knows what it's going to be. And for a long time, I used to try to guide that because I didn't want people to think I was too much. Because I didn't want them to have something to say. If you put me in a room, I will shine. It's not a bragging thing. Why? And I found that that's just the way God created me. God created me to pay attention to details. God created me to stand out. And then God really works on me in my private place. So God really develops me. When by that I mean, I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of personal development. And so when I come out, I tend to know a lot. And so what I'm mindful. So when I'm in the room, I also practice quiet. I watch others. I celebrate others. I make them feel you're special. Not me, you are. I find ways to balance things out. But the truth is, I do know that I'm different. I know that I'm loved. I know that I'm different, and it's come with time.
What are the books you've read that has impacted your life?
Not too many.
It's a lot.
You either have to come steal my library.
Are you serious?
Because I am a reader.
Okay.
My Audible is just. Oh yeah. So I'm a reader. I'm trying to think. I can't tell.
What kind of books do you read?
Oh, there is one. One defining one was by my papa. I call him my papa, John Maxwell.
Okay.
John Maxwell wrote the book, the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. That has to be one of the books that has shaped this era of my life.
Okay.
Because I never had anyone talk with me or teach me about the importance of growth, of committing to your growth. And when I read that book, it freed me. It freed me so I could be in a really small group. And now I know how to navigate that. In other words, I don't let my environment determine. You know, they say change your environment. Nah, not necessarily. You just need to know what to do in your environment. You just need to know what to do in your environment. So you put me in a village, I'll shine. You put me in the White House, I'll shine. It's because I know what to do, and it comes from growth, commitment to growth. So that has to be one of the books. The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, yes, by John C. Maxwell. It's an amazing read. Amazing read.
And you also have books as well. You're also an author.
I am an author. I committed to writing a book. I am.
How long did it take you to write it?
9 months.
Wow.
It took me, it didn't take me 9 months. It took me about 3 months.
Okay.
But the production and, it was actually, I started in September and the book was published in April.
Okay.
So that's what, roughly 6 months. Yeah, 6 months.
Okay.
So, but the writing time was really 3 months. But 3 months for publishing details and all of marketing, all of those things. So 6 months, it took me 6 months.
And did you face any obstacles while writing? Was it like a brain freeze, or you had all the inspiration?
No.
Everything was just.
I didn't know what I was doing. You never know what you're doing at the beginning.
That's true.
You never ever know.
Very true.
You never know what you're doing at the beginning, and that was the case for me. I just committed. Every day I wake up, I'll pray, Lord, help me write today. I don't know, and I'll just start writing whatever was on my heart, and then the inspiration will come while I was on the job.
Have you ever been given any terrible advice?
Let me think. Terrible advice.
Any worst advice?
I can't remember off the top of my mind right now, like just off the top of my head. But it would have had to do with my gifts.
Okay.
It would have had to do along those lines. And looking back now, I realized that the person or the people who said that or the person who said that, they had never navigated there, so they didn't know.
They can't give you what they don't have.
Exactly. And frankly, when someone really hurts me, I prayerfully try to get over it as quickly as possible so I can be free to do other things.
What advice would you give to the woman who has so many gifts and she's trying not to be overwhelmed? You know, so you have so many things she can do, like, and everything's face by face. So I can imagine if you started your art maybe while you're writing your book.
No, I can't do that.
So at what point in time do you know, first of all, the first question, how do you even overcome overwhelm?
All right, I taught a free class, and I believe it's still available now. Jokotade.com/talents.
Okay.
And it's 2 videos, and I teach how to manage your multiple talents. And one of the things I talk about is when you are very gifted, at the top of your list will need to be organization. And how you do that is, first of all, you've got to document your gifts or your talents. You've got to get it all get it all out of you. Make a note of this. These are all my ideas. Document them and sort them, and then look on your list. And I teach that in this free. You don't even have to opt in. So just go to the link and watch it. I teach you how to walk through each of your talents. It's a bit detailed, and I don't know if I even want to get into it. But there is a system for managing your talent. And I would encourage your listeners to go watch that. jokotade.com/talents. It's a free video, and you too can. You would really enjoy it. And there's an insight, there's a biblical insight that I share on how to manage talents. And people wrote me that they had never, ever heard it taught that way before.
I think it's about the
creation method.
Yeah,
how God created the whole world. Exactly. And that's what I do. That's how I manage my talent.
So for this year, is it strictly
art? Yes, you see, and that's one of the strategies. That's you see, even you know.
Yeah.
So every year I try to figure out what is the focus this year. This year for me, it's art. So God willing, by the end of the year, I would have developed a system around this gift that now is almost like on autopilot.
Self-sustainable.
Exactly.
So even if we're doing art this year, it doesn't mean the other things are not trying.
Who knows? Maybe next year, who knows? Maybe God will want me back writing another book or producing more podcasts. I'm sure there's going to be something. But this year, the focus is this. And so even I am becoming better at it.
At 30?
Absolutely.
Is there anything you're afraid of now?
Yes.
Would we like to hear that?
All right. So I find I'm telling God, I'm afraid of not getting it right. And last week I was crying and I was saying, God, I just want to get it right. And let me explain what I mean by I want to get it right. I don't want myself to get in the way of doing what I've been called to do. I just want to get it right. I don't have the time. Life as we know it is coming to an end, and I don't want to stand before you and say, but excuse me, I don't want that. So I'm afraid of not getting it right, and so I'm taking that fear to God now, and I'm saying, God, help me get it right. Help me know how I'm supposed to reach people. Help me know how I'm supposed to take care of my business. Help me know what I'm supposed to do, and I want to do it. I don't want to be lazy about it. After this interview, I'm going to jump right back on my computer, and I have a couple of things I must target today, because we can't keep thinking there's time.
And that's the trap of youth.
Yes.
We think there is so much time.
Yes, I remember when I was 19. Oh yeah,
right? And that's the thing. Whenever I speak to older people, and I just see that sometimes regret in their eyes. Like, they tell me you have time, or I wish that I did this. And then you wonder, like, why didn't they do it then? But now, even as we're at my age right now, you realize time is going.
Oh,
and before
yes.
you know, you're like 50, you're like 60, and then you look back and ask yourself, what did you do with all that time?
Right.
What legacy did you leave for your kids?
Right.
What investment did you make into
Right.
the world?
Right. And it begins, for me, I shared something. For me, it began with 15 minutes every day. When I realized that my life was heading for a crash, meaning I was just doing whatever, and life didn't have meaning, I committed to 15 minutes every day. So I said, 15 minutes, I'm going to do something with my life. I'm going to do something that I believe I've been called to do. 15 minutes every day. Then it grew to 1 hour, and here we are today.
Right, and I'm happy you're talking about this actual step.
Yes,
I don't want to be just just
head knowledge.
Yeah. Or abstract.
No. 15
or
minutes.
tangible steps.
15
so
minutes.
like that woman who is trying to figure exactly, okay, so how am I going to make an investment?
Right.
What do I do? I've got so much going on.
Let me tell you what I did. I put my children to bed by 9 o'clock. Then by 8:30. Then from 8:30 to 9, I would do dishes. And after dishes, by 9 o'clock, I would sit behind my computer. And I think she was scared of attention.
Battery is dead.
It's low.
Okay,
Okay, so we're good. So let me pick back up.
Yes.
Okay. So here's what I did. Here's how I started. By 8:30, I would put my children to bed. And then between 8:30 and 9, I would do dishes, the kitchen. Wherever it ended at 9, I would get out of the kitchen and go sit behind my computer. And then from 9 p.m. until 11 at night, I would commit to my talents, or if it's writing a book, if it's building my website or something. Many of the things that you've seen about my brand, I did it all. And it came from commitment. I didn't hire anybody. Because I didn't feel like I had the money or the resources to do that. And I didn't feel they would even project my message properly. And so I just committed time. I invested the time. Rather than pay somebody, I invested the time. 9 through 12. That's how I built my app.
Wow.
9 through 12. And here I am today. And I am so grateful. So start with 15 minutes. There's some women that they don't have 2 hours right now. But you're going to have to give up some sleep. I gave up some sleep. There were times I was up till 2 a.m., 3 a.m. When I was writing Fresh Start, my book, I literally slept in the living room. So I would stay in bed until my husband goes to sleep. Once the man is asleep, I jump out of bed, run to the living room, bring out my laptop, and I would write until I got it done. And one day the man looked at me and said, "You said you were going to write a book." And you did it.
Wow. What advice would you give to that woman who is doing it afraid?
Don't give up. Don't give up. You're going to doubt yourself. It's all a part of the process. You're going to think, do I know, do I even know what I'm doing? I still don't know what I'm doing. Let me help you. I still don't. I'm just taking it by faith and just believing, right? I never imagined that people would want to interview me. I never imagined it. I just did what I felt I should do. And then somebody noticed and said, "You know what, I want to hear her. Or I want to do this, I want to do that." And so when I'm invited to keynote a conference, I still don't feel anything. So do it.
Okay, so talk about Mr. and Mrs. Williams. For
Tell them who it is.
those don't know, that is our, I feel like, what do I call them? Our art. So we have a Mr. and Mrs. Williams, like Nigerian couple.
Yeah, they're characters.
You have to go to our Instagram page to see what their business, what they do, and everything. So what's next for them?
Okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Williams, let me tell you how that happened. Because I don't want people thinking, "Oh my gosh, she just really knows what's up." It was one night.
Right.
I needed to do an Instagram post about my art. And I just felt like I heard, why don't you just introduce these characters to your audience? Draw the guy and introduce the characters to your audience. And then tell them you're going to write a story about them every Friday. And I heard it and I was like, but it didn't go away. So you know what I did? I stayed up to 3 a.m. that day and I posted it.
Wow.
And by the morning, and then I got another idea. I heard, have them name the couple for you.
Wow.
So I put it out there. By the time I woke up, people were tagging their friends. This is what the name should be. People really bought into it. And people were like, yes, this is just amazing. And I'm like, it really pays to do it afraid. You see what I mean? Like, I just put it out there. So every Friday, I draw something about them, or I release something about them. I would draw it on Thursday and put something about them. So they're a special character, they're a fashionable character, and right now, they're showing us around Lagos.
Right.
They're showing us around Lagos. Today they were at the Civic Center. So they're showing us around Lagos. And the idea here is I want to tell a story of a new Nigeria.
Okay.
And that's my way. That's my way of telling the story of a new Nigeria. In using themes that are important to me. Love is important to me. Marriage is important to me. Love, true love, commitment, loyalty is important to me. And so I'm hoping that I could use this to inspire my audience and shed good light. Oftentimes many people talk about Nigeria in a negative light. And so I want to tell, if we don't tell our story, nobody's going to tell it.
Right.
People tell stories of Paris, of all the big cities. And I'm just going to draw my own. I'm going to draw my own, shed good light on it, and watch and see. I don't know where it's going to go, but I believe that I would keep pushing it. So obviously, we'll see. I believe they're going to have a family.
Okay.
And I haven't told you all where the bride is from, where Mrs. Williams is from.
Right.
and all I can tell you is that they're a mixed couple.
Okay. Okay. So I want to thank you so much for being vulnerable, for being open, for your amazingness, for the wealth of knowledge. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming on our Women Did Afraid studio.
Thank you.
Looking forward to all the things that you have. Our eyes are focused on you. Just pray that God continue to bless you and lift you up in all that you do. So till next time, I hope that at the end of this video you watch, you know that if she can do it, you can as well. So till next time, have a fabulous day. Bye.